Never waste my time, you all I want. Neither of us wanna be alone. Breathing in your love or your touch. Winter is freezing and trees start to bolt, and I don't wanna be sitting alone in a room that's just filled with my soul. And so I came to this place, I'm looking for a familiar face, and that's when I saw you. 'Cause you don't know me and I don't know you, but it breaks my heart. You're looking so blue on the last day here. I just picked your name on the coffee cup, but a stroke of luck, the guy just messed up and gave your cup to me. Swapping our cups, and after a while we're swapping a glance. I can't think nothing better. I started a year with a drop of romance. 'Cause I came to this place looking for a familiar face, and that's when I met you.
Watches and a variety.
'Cause you don't know me and I don't know you, but it breaks my heart. You're looking so blue on the first of the year. I just picked your name on the coffee cup, with a stroke of luck, the guy just messed up and gave your cup. A cappuccino is what matters me. The way you came toward me, dragging your feet, and I just smiled at you. hope you're feeling it too. Will you take my hand so we can run away? Save our problems for another day. Yeah, I know in the end it'll be okay. It's you and me, girl, there's no other way. Yeah, take my hand so we can run away. Save our problems for another day. Yeah, I know in the end it'll be okay. It's you and me, girl, there's no other way. Yeah, yeah, I need you to promise that you'll stay. This careless slurs like a lonely winter. I'm empty with you, but somehow you hold me together. And I know, you know, without you I'd splinter. 'Cause this ain't forever, but we'll stay together. Our souls are tethered, and our bodies will never be enough to sever the pain in a lover, the flame we discover in burning hearts. My damaged eyes are as true as scripture. A tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand. When I opened up, you promised redemption, but we just traded broken hearts instead. And I know, you know, without you I'd splinter. 'Cause this ain't forever, but we'll stay together. Our souls are tethered, and our bodies will never be enough to sever the pain in a lover, the flame we discover in burning hearts. Cause this ain't forever, but we'll stay together. Our souls are dead, and our bodies will never be enough. The pain in a lover, flame that's uncovered. Still be my lover to the pain you discover.
Come
साधु साधु साधु
Tap the banner to learn more.
I'm a little too into you. Got my head over my shoes, but I like it, I like it. I'm a little too into you. Got me up over the moon, but I like it, I like it. I'm counting colors in your eyes. I'm losing track of all my time. It's like I'm high. Tried not to slip into your blue, but I've been slipping into you. The floor is ice.